Welcome back everybody, Max here, and today we're going to cover the most taboo subject in the first-person shooter community, especially on consoles, and that is aim assist and auto rotation. Now I'm not going to get into the ifs, whys, buts and maybes as to whether it should or should not be in the game. Personally, I don't care, it's irrelevant, but it is in the game, and today I'm going to teach you guys exactly what it means, and I'm going to teach you how to exploit it in the same way that a ton of other pro gamers, console players and fellow YouTubers utilize this tactic, this, I don't know, skill if you want to call it, or exploitation to the very best of their ability. And today I'm going to share that with you. You won't find this anywhere else on YouTube because nobody wants to talk about it. Most people just want to ignore it and label them as talentless and skillless, and I'm sure those comments will come down below. But guess what? It does take a little bit of practice, and it does take a certain amount of skill with which to utilize it and exploit it to its maximum potential. And today I'm going to share that with you, which is going to upset a lot of people in the community, but I really don't care. So, because that's the way my channel is. So I'm going to teach you all those kind of things, so stick around, that's all coming up. And I will also show you my settings as to the settings that I use, my sensitivities and all that kind of stuff. Please be aware that the sensitivity settings are personal to you. These sensitivity settings are personal to me. These are the sensitivity settings that I use, my field of view settings, all this kind of stuff. I will happily share it with you. Get out there, give it a go, give it a whirl. It may work for you, it may not. But nonetheless, I'll share it with you. You can have a look, see what you think. And you never know, it may just work for you, or it may tick off a box where you've been struggling in a certain area because you thought, oh my God, I realised I didn't readjust that. I didn't even know it was there. So with a bit of luck, we can all get on board, and I can share a couple of the things that I've learned along the way and some of the stuff that I've picked up to make everybody have a little bit better of a time in Battlefield outside of the net code. Not going to mention it anymore. All right, so stick around, and we'll jump into some just straight up me showing my gun, and then I'll explain to you what I'm doing and why, and we'll go over that, and then I will show you some gameplay. We'll try and do it live, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to exploiting the mechanic. All right, so here we are. First things first, let's talk about settings and all that fun stuff. So as you can see here, this is the label, this is the infantry version. My settings are, let's go into the options menu right here. Let's do controls first. So I don't like vibration on my controller, it drives me absolutely crackerjack crazy. My soldier stick sensitivity is 19%, vehicle is at 20%, and the soldier zoom is 60%. That is all very, very heavily dependent on you guys, and obviously you can see the rest of the settings that are on the screen. Now if we go over to the advanced settings, and these are the ones you want to pay close attention to. Stick aiming acceleration, turn this off. Guys, I can't stress this enough. Let me show you. If I zing this all the way back up to 100, let me show you what that actually does to the gun. So this is me turning from left to right. Now can you see the sway on the weapon? You don't want that. This weird acceleration actually causes the gun to, you will overswing the weapon, and it's this weird, I don't know, it's this really odd mechanic. But if you want your gun to react in a way that it did in Battlefield 4, then the way to do it is just take the stick aim and acceleration. You don't want it on there. You don't want your stick accelerating beyond what you want it to do, and it's just a pain in the arse. So set that to 0. Dead zone, I have mine at 9%. That's where I like it. I get a better feel of motion and a better feel. And this is the axial dead zone, which is, if you read there, it says set how much the horizontal and vertical values cancel each other out when pushing the stick all the way. I like it a little bit below middle ground. That's what works fine for me. 100% on the max threshold, so the maximum you put on the stick is 100%. And then we've got the right stick. So this would be the left stick. They recently changed this. And then on the right stick, I like it to be a little higher. Obviously the right stick is doing a slightly different job to the left, and so I like to have that a little bit higher, but as you can see, it's not actually that much higher, and the other settings are exactly the same. All this other stuff is exactly as it became. I turn this up to maximum threshold. Now you will see me pulling the trigger from time to time, and the gun going off randomly, and that's because I've got that set at 100%, and it gets screwy. Gameplay. Let's go into this. Again, a lot of this is a very, very personal thing. Change your colours, guys. Can't stress this enough. When we get in a little bit later on, when we get into the video about exploiting the auto aim and aim rotation and auto aim mechanic, you do need to see what your crosshairs are doing with on the screen. And I like different colours for hit markers and all that kind of fun stuff, knowing if I've hit them in the head or whether or not I've hit them in the body. So, soldier auto leaning, I hate that mechanic, drives me absolutely nuts, so I turn that off. As you can see, those are the settings for that. Don't really fly, so unless you, don't look at my settings for flying because they will be garbage to you guys. Audio is audio, not much to see in there. And this one is also important to what you're seeing. This field of view at 70%. The higher you set this, the weirder and stretched out the screen is going to become, and it makes it very, very hard. Now, depending on, I guess, what I'm feeling on the day, I'll see what it does to the screen, the way it zooms that down. Now, if you zoom it right down to like 60 or even 55, you will cut out some of the corner of the screen, so you're not going to see people coming in from the left and the right, but it actually does make what you're seeing a lot clearer, and you can snap onto targets a little bit easier. So we'll put that back to, I can't even remember where I had it now. I think it was up here at 70. So ADS field of view is on. Motion blur, turn that crap off. That drives me absolutely nuts. I don't want my vision blurred out. Field of view, weapon DOF, turn that off. Height and adjustment, this is obviously dependent on what screen you're running or what television or monitor you're using, and adjust that accordingly. If you go too big, you're going to cut out, certain information on the screen that you may or may not want to see. And that is pretty much it for my setup. And this is what it looks like. And so when you're turning the gun, now it reacts in a much better way, and kind of as it did in Battlefield 4. So I swing my gun and I stop it there. That's where I want to stop it. I want to stop it on the truck. There it is. There's the other one. There's that back there, and there's that back there. And it's a lot easier to manipulate the controller when you've got that dialed down all the way to 0. So that being said, and while we're in this game, I will now show you how to exploit the auto aim functionality of the game. And I can't stress this enough. The most important function of this, and to make this work and to give yourself the best possible opportunity of exploiting this, is you have to keep your crosshairs in the center of your screen like this. You cannot have it down or whatever. See, there's a fella right here. There, that was auto aim right there. Now you have to get your crosshairs on the guy. So if you're off to the side, the crosshairs are not going to get there. Absolutely not. Auto aim is not that strong, and unfortunately, thankfully, it's not a mechanic that you can exploit in that way. It's not a hack. But you do have to have your crosshairs on the target that you're aiming at. That's critically important. If you don't, the auto aim won't help you out. But if you find a target, it will pop you to the target. See, now I'm trying to find out where this guy is, and when I find out where he is, I'm going to try and keep my crosshairs on him as long as I possibly can. So when he pops his little head up, let's see if he's still there. So when he pops his little head up, straight onto that guy. That guy's standing still. There's another guy right here. Now you can utilize this mechanic instead of just doing it like that, which that was complete aim assist. I had my note that my crosshairs are actually over the target. All I'm doing is utilizing the aim assist to pull the crosshairs down and onto it, but you also can follow the target too. So it is possible to just drag the scope across the same way as you would do, say, in Call of Duty or something like that. You can drag the scope across and it will work, but I utilize it not to get me onto target, but I utilize it to get me close to the target. And when I'm on the target or close to, then I fire, or I make the small amount of adjustment that is required in order to get me accurately on the guy. So I know there's a guy there. Missed that guy, but his buddy walks straight into the shot and ends up being dead, just like that. Now that was the auto aim mechanic in full force right there. My sights are over the guy that I was aiming at, but because the other guy walked into the shot, I could feel the drag on the crosshair, pulled it down a little bit, boom, nailed the guy, and it's game over, and he's dead. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of hatred and there's going to be a lot of negativity and comments and all that, and that's absolutely fine, guys. I don't mind any of the the trash comments and all that kind of stuff. That's absolutely fine, but be aware that there's younger ears listening to these commentaries, and there are younger ears that are going to be listening to this. So try and keep it clean and try and keep it relatively respectful. I'm well engineered, well set up for it, and so I'm just going to leave it at that, and just try and be mindful of who or may not be reading your comments online. The only other thing I will say about exploiting this mechanic is that it will not work with scope rifles. You have to be running a gun without a scope. The infantry rifles are the best for it. It will work with the carbine variants, but it will not work with scoped variants, so don't even bother. It's a waste of time. What I would utilise this for, and which I've done over a period of time, is utilise this to build your skill set. Utilise this to feel where you need to have your scope. Utilise this to learn the map, learn to maneuver your soldier when you're sniping in a certain area, in a certain position, to give yourself the very best possible opportunity to kill the guy that you're aiming at. When you feel comfortable and confident that you've managed to do that, then by all means switch over to a scope rifle, and you'll find that some of the techniques and stuff that you've learned from doing this will actually assist you in your scoped rifle gameplay, and in which case you're not going to get all the hatred and the trash talk, because obviously you're not using the mechanic at that point. I don't always utilise the mechanic, but to be fair, I don't believe in putting myself at a disadvantage against players that are utilising this mechanic all the time, and so therefore basically I've just taught myself how to utilise it to the very best of my ability. That being said, I am going to wrap this video up. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions or comments or any kind of other relevant feedback, then by all means leave it in the comment section. The guys that are going to hate, trash talk and all the rest of it, that's fine too, guys. Fully expect it, know it's coming, but the whole point of my channel is to bring up diversive and taboo subjects, put them out there, get it spoken about, and generate some kind of forum for everybody to talk about it, rather than posting stupid smack talk on Reddit and all this other kind of crap. So by all means utilize it as a forum to your own ends. Try and keep it clean, try and keep it respectful, and until next time, my name is Max, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra.